time.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Sorry about that.
So how does that work, Becky? I posted the meeting, but how's the link get created?
I have to do it. And
Should I call you? Should I send you an email and let you know when I post?
no,
it?
I knew I had to do it. I've just, since all this PFAS testing has ended up a lot of hours, and just trying to get everything done is,
All right. So you usually,
oh yeah.
when I post a meeting, you're aware of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe, because this is the first time I've done it in a long time. So I thought maybe, okay, good.
No big deal.
No, not a big deal.
A little frustration for sure, but
Becky, did you respond to, I'll do it. Peg, and let her know that it's there now.
no, I didn't.
I will. I got it.
Okay.
I'm just reply all.
Yeah, I figured it would show up. At first I figured it was there, I just couldn't find it.
No, I'm sorry to frustrate you guys.
No.
I was able to get like 4. It's, it's great when the houses, I know a lot of the people, but there's more than half of them that are either new in town or a lot of people's phone numbers are all different now because they don't use Verizon anymore.
Right.
So
Everybody wants
it's
to sell.
just been, I've had to do a lot of going to
Oh.
stores and searching because if I had everyone's email to do this, and then you finally get through the person, and then they're so apologetic they didn't, because we sent out a mailing asking for all this information, and it's hard for people to get that done too. But anyway, caused a 3-4 minute delay.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Well,
I don't know.
Nobody suffers more than Becky, because, Becky
No.
goes home when we're done with the meeting. So
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I just also forwarded the link to Peg, so she should be able to get in now.
Oh, good, because
So is Melissa? We don't see much of Melissa anymore. Has she been missing a lot of meetings?
let me call her right now. She hasn't missed any select board meetings, but you're right. This is,
I don't see her.
It's not
Personnel
like,
board meetings.
yeah.
Did you get out and hike today while the weather was nice?
I went for a bike ride.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, went down into the valley. First
Nice.
ride for months. Yeah, it felt
Yeah,
good.
me neither. Yeah, I'll bet it did. Not too much sand on the side of the road. Hey, Peg.
Oh, Melissa's saying she's almost home. She ran late tonight. I hope she's not texting and driving.
Yeah, right. And we didn't hear. Did anybody hear from Melody?
No, we usually do.
she's been struggling to make finance committee meetings. I've known, since she got her new job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
April, thanks for the notes. Those were excellent notes.
Oh, good. I was trying to, sort of stay focused on what are we doing here? It was interesting. It's interesting. To get to have meetings with other towns. I found it, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, is to find out there's other people who are living exactly the same life as you,
That's
dealing with
right.
the same issues. It's good. You get different perspectives. I think it's the long run. If we're going to survive financially, if we don't get more money from the state, we're going to have to learn how to get along with our neighbors. I think Leverett, Wendell, Shutesbury, we could combine a lot of stuff.
It become one big town.
Yes. I mean, why not? Maybe even pull New Salem in, although New Salem is kind of spread around. It's a funny town.
Oh, I know, split down the middle.
Yeah, it
Right.
reaches that. Yeah.
When somebody mentioned last week, we shared the town administrator or someplace we had. When I was on the board, we shared with Leverett, with Leverett and Sunderland, actually.
Jane Davis, wasn't it
Yes,
Jane Davis?
Yes, Jane Davis.
Yes. Wow, good memory.
Not really, that just every so often they line up.
Yeah, she was the first one when I became a volunteer in town.
And then we had, after her, there was, I can't remember her name. They moved out of town. Her husband was a teacher and then he became a principal. Oh, I can't remember. They live on West Pelham. Darn it. And then,
We had this guy Johnson, the big guy,
oh, really? When?
somewhere in there. And then we had David Ames, who's up in Orange now,
Yeah,
or Athol.
right.
He was a good guy. David Dan, of course, he was great.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
So you guys, we have enough people to go over the minutes, don't we?
Yes.
Shall we do that?
Yes. So
All
I'll
right.
move to accept the minutes from our last meeting, which was.
So we are now in session at 6:39. Okay.
Okay, so there were a couple just additions or changes that I wanted to run by you. Okay. It's for number 4, it's 2024 wage adjustment, right? It's not 2023. We're talking about the coming fiscal year.
Yes.
All right, so that would be 2024 wage
Yes.
adjustment, right?
Yep.
And then under 1D, I think it would be difficult to find and retain a person with the skills needed to work.
It would be difficult to find and retain
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
a
Okay,
person with the skills needed. Okay.
yeah,
done.
all right. And then our next meetings, I don't know if we can do that without Melissa here or Melody here, but
Yeah, we should talk about April and May.
And
June, I
March.
guess.
March.
Yeah, well, March we have here, right? March 16th, I think, is what we have.
Okay. I will be gone for that, but you guys can labor on.
I'd be happy to move it to the week before.
Yeah, March 9th. That's like, is that 3 weeks? Does that give us time? I think
It does
it's
feel like we just met, but I don't know. It depends on what the agenda is, I guess. I know for me, I prefer not to be, I could make March 16th, but I prefer not to.
Okay, well then.
Well, how about, are you on the road or could you do the 15th?
I'm on the road. I'm gonna be in Belize, so I'm really on the road.
Oh, I'm so
You're on the
sorry.
beach.
We have tried for 3 years to get, our 50th anniversary was in 2020.
That's fine.
And that's
Wow.
when we first started. So this is our 53rd.
Oh, congratulations.
We're
good for
trying
you.
really hard to get there. And a couple of the places that Mike had arranged for originally actually kept our money and said they would hold it over, like deposits. They kept
Yep.
it. They honored our deposits from 3 years ago.
And did they keep the fee the same for the room?
Yeah,
Wow, that's
Wow,
great.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that sure is.
but anyway, so no, you guys should just go ahead and work. I could do the 9th, but I can't do the 16th.
What do
I
you think
could-
about that, April?
I could do either.
Okay, so far you're outvoted. It's the 9th. We'll
right.
find out about Melissa and Melody. I don't know if Melody's coming or not. Okay, so do you move the minutes to?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
move to approve the minutes
As amended?
as
All right,
amended.
Ross, aye.
Carbonitis, aye.
Stunning.
Nice. Okay, with those changes, you got it.
All right, great. I can't hear Becky. Becky, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Sorry,
Oh,
I'm getting
Should
called
we-
back because from all my scheduling stuff that I have to take them to get it lined up for tomorrow. So, sorry,
Almost
guys.
late tonight.
So you guys were talking about meeting on March 9th. Did you
Yes.
agree to that?
so far the folks here do agree to it. 3 out of
Okay.
5.
And I think
And
Melissa,
I think that's a good idea, to do it before everybody's away, because, I've been talking with Lenny about the deputy chief position. He has been thinking about what changes he has to make, but he has not yet made them. I was hoping he'd have it done for tonight. I told him about tonight's meeting, but it's not done yet.
that's too bad.
Okay.
Would definitely be on the agenda for, March
Right.
9th.
So you're talking about the deputy fire chief job?
Yes.
Yes, in addition to that. Okay. So we'll put a hold on that. Do we want to go ahead and talk about the 2023 wage adjustment now, or do we want to talk about Concom and job description? April, thank you for writing up all those
I
notes.
thought we already did the 2023 wage adjustment.
Yes.
No, we didn't. I told you it was going to be 3%, but we didn't have the January CPI numbers yet.
Oh,
They
and
came
it's
out on
different.
Monday.
But it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, we want to document that we use the
Okay.
January
Okay.
CPI because that's what we do every year. I mean, we can look it over now. It'll take 2 minutes.
Right. Okay, let's
That
do
would be
it.
great.
Oh, I thought you were talking about I thought you were talking about the coming fiscal year.
We are talking about the coming fiscal year. I keep messing up the
Yeah,
23,
but-
24.
All
But
I
the
right.
show you the
23,
calculation.
it's the January of 2023 CPI that you reference.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
that
if-
FY
if that-
24.
Let me share the screen. I'll show it to everybody.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, it shouldn't take long. It's really simple to do. We set it up so that it's
Yeah,
automatic.
perfect. And thank you for sharing all these things, George.
Yes,
Oh, you're welcome.
thank you for,
Appreciate it.
Oh, you need access.
Yeah, let me know when I got it. Okay, do you see that?
Mhm.
All right, so I'll just remind everybody what it says. It says basically we use a 3-year rolling. If any year is below 1%, we'll use 1%. If any year is higher than 4%, we'll use 4%. We'll evaluate it every 3 years, which we've decided in our last meeting that we're going to do an evaluation next year.
Next
Mhm.
year, yeah.
So has everybody seen this? And I'll share this. I'll send this to everybody afterwards if you'd like it.
okay. That'd be
That'd be
good.
great.
I will. And then, so this is what we use. It's the New England urban consumer, and this is the code for the specific index. And so here's the index. I downloaded it. Like I said, when the Fed announced the inflation rate on Tuesday morning, I realized that this was probably available. So I went and I grabbed, this is the whole page. This is the same one that we use, the New England Urban. And here's the indexes, and we always use the January indexes. So here is a record of it. And here's, if you wanted to check it out yourself, when you get the spreadsheet, here's the link to get to this table. But if you look at these numbers, here, those are all right here. I drop them right in.
Mhm.
I add a year and I drop them in. And then the change year to year was this in the first year, the second year, then the third year, and this was the first year we did it. We took this increase, that increase, and then this was below the 1%, so we put 1 there.
Mhm.
And this is just the average of the 3. And then the next year, we had 6.59. We made it 4% for our calculation, and this is the rate we used last year. And then this year's rate, it's these 3 guys would have been 4.24 if we use the straight CPI. But when you take the max and the mins, in this case, all 3 years, it's 3%. So that's the calculation. I
Mhm.
showed you the source. Pretty much
And
it.
now it's official.
Yeah.
Well, so interesting thing about this note up here, actually the last sentence says, annual COLA to be calculated according to above guidelines by Finance Committee. So I was thinking after this meeting, I would send this to AJ and let him know that the personnel board saw it and agreed with it or approved it.
I think that's a mistake, isn't it? I mean, it's always been the personnel board that's calculated it. So the calculation, I think it should just be the finance committee is only to use it. They're not to calculate it.
Well, this is the way we wrote the policy when it was approved. You know, with the select board, personnel and finance committees all approved it. This was the policy that was written.
Let the
So
email-
if we change this, Becky, it's not
Well,
necessarily
it's
an
just
agreement.
that the finance committee has never calculated it.
Well, I don't know
just
if
that
anybody
you're-
ever really calculated it. We always argued over it and then had a
No,
vote.
No. I mean, now that we calculated, it's always been the personnel board who's taken guardianship of the spreadsheet and then informed the other two committees. I'm just saying what we do
Yeah,
isn't
Well, I mean,
reflected
the
in
fact of the matter
policy.
is I'm the one who does it and I'm on the two committees.
Right.
Yeah,
That's probably part of the confusion, but this is the way we wrote it up. Now,
yeah, all
it
right.
doesn't matter to
if
me.
you're
one way or-
comfortable with it, that's fine.
Well, so
Yeah,
next
the-
year, we're looking at the whole thing next year. And maybe we could change that next year, if it makes sense.
We could change it this year too. We would just have to, I think we would want to inform the select board and the finance committee, only because if you look at the notes from when this was approved, this is what we have.
Right.
I don't think it really matter. I mean, I don't, it could matter, I suppose, at some point, but
But the finance committee last year, I mean, we went along with this last year and it was discussed in the finance committee and voted, right? Or,
yeah, both,
I don't
yeah,
think
this will be the
so.
third year.
But was it voted in finance? I think once it's calculated, I just added it to the budget.
I don't remember, Becky. I mean, like I said, I mean, if AJ presents this to everybody and we have members who don't like the 3% increase and want to make it lower, and 4 of the members vote for something lower, what do we do?
It doesn't matter because this has already been approved by all 3 committees.
yeah,
One committee can't kill it.
Mm.
True. That's true. And it even says that here, during extraordinary years, the policy right here, during extraordinary years, the policy could be overridden by a vote of all 3 committees. So if a few people on finance committee didn't like it, I would tell them right now, personnel boards approved it. So you're
Right.
not going to get the support of all 3 committees.
Right. So they can't change it.
So they can't change it. So I think we're fine.
I do too. I agree.
All right, I'll send this to everyone. Should I
Okay.
attach these to the minutes too? I suppose I should when I get. send it
Yeah,
to Grace.
Yeah,
All right.
So 3%.
so it'll be interesting to see how the COLA has weathered over, in relationship to other town salaries over the last 3. I'm looking forward to figuring that out next
Yeah,
year.
I think it might be a little early, but we might as well do it. There's no harm in doing it. The reason I say that is if you look, we can see that our employees aren't getting raises that are equaling what's happening with inflation.
Right.
However, when inflation dips below 4%, they're going to have a lag because these 4% are
Right.
still going to be in their averages. So they will do okay. It's just, it's kind of a lag in how it works.
Well, and we'll see next year how it's working with
Yeah.
Yeah.
our other towns.
Yeah.
Hi, Melissa. It's good to
Hey,
see
sorry
you.
about that, guys. I had an appointment and it ran late.
No problem. So did you see this, Melissa, the COLA calculation?
Yeah, I just glanced down. 3%. Got it.
So we just took the indexes. This is the index that came out this week. So there's the 118,841 is the January number. We use January numbers here and then you know the rest.
Yep.
Okay, I'll send it to everyone.
Ah,
Hello,
Hey, Nate,
how are you?
I'm good. Fancy meeting you here.
What's that? Yeah. Yeah, I put you
I know.
back half for today and cover the night, 7 to 11, so
Thank you very much.
I will be here.
Okay, so that's done.
All right. Hi, Melissa. I was fiddling around
Hi.
with use my galleries. Now you're there. You weren't there before. Okay, so Melissa, we've approved the minutes of the last meeting.
Okay.
And you were dealing with fallen trees.
No electricity fallen tree. Yes. Sorry about that.
I'm glad that's,
We're sorry about that. That was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah,
yeah,
spring's gonna have a lot of cleanup, and next winter we'll have plenty of firewood. Don't
yeah.
have to cut anything
Oh,
down.
there's great trees
Yeah.
coming. Yes.
We had down trees all along Montague Road. It was incredible. Just,
Yeah. Montague Road lost power twice this winter.
yeah,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And then-
Lady Slip,
yeah.
this was Lady Slipper Lane. West Palm Road was pretty much okay. I think it dipped off at one point, but came back on. But Lady Slipper, that whole area
Yeah.
and greater Lady Slipper area was out.
so another thing we were gonna do was review the deputy fire chief job description, and we're gonna hold on that because Becky said she's gonna be meeting with Lenny. She wasn't able to meet with Lenny about that. So that's on hold.
I've met with Lenny, but he is working on writing the changes to the job description. So that's the important piece.
Right. So we're gonna talk about that at our next meeting, which is gonna be March 9th. Can you make it? Melissa,
Yeah,
March 9th.
putting on the, I'll put it
And
on the calendar now.
We just finished talking about the 2024 wage adjustment for COLA.
Mhm.
So the last thing I think we have on our agenda is the Concom job description and the land use clerk job description. And April did a really nice write-up of the meeting that
Thank you.
Concom had, which right now, do I have it in front of me? Yes. Thank you for doing that. I already did thank you, but thank you again.
Thanks. I'm a
Um,
retired person.
Working hard.
well,
Working
I
hard.
am too, April, but I didn't do it.
More
I was-
newly retired, I guess.
Yes, I was there for some, I didn't quite make it for the beginning anyway. So anyway, where are we on all this? Becky, I know you sent some things out, a job description for the land use clerk. Did you send that out, Becky?
I sent it to Miriam and asked her to put in the changes she requested.
Uh-huh.
And I have not received anything back, but she also, I guess, is indicating that they're not feeling the urgency that they were at one point. So I'm not sure if we will be hearing back. Now, I suggested to her that even if they're not feeling the urgency now, that it's best to finish up the development of the agent job description so that they won't have this time delay next time if they
Right.
feel like they
Right.
want to advertise.
Yeah.
Good. And so she's working on that. She did send, and you did some, lot of information on different possibilities, for the work of a conservation agent and everything. So did you leave it with her that we'll wait till we hear back from her?
Yep, that, we need the new information on the land use clerk if she's going to change it to an agent. If she's not going to do anything at this point, I'm going to have to move ahead and find a new land use clerk. And then at some point in time when she feels that it's more appropriate, then she can start requesting for an agent.
And why is it not as urgent? Did she explain to you why it's not as urgent as it was?
I think she was feeling that the 3 different towns had an opportunity to work together. But I think it was clear from what April reported from the meeting that none of the 3 towns wanted to pay benefits, full-time benefits. And so it was not an actual shared position. It was going to be 3 separate hires by 3 separate towns for 3 separate jobs.
And one person.
And without having a common job description. anyway. The 3 towns don't even have a common job description.
So
So,
they could create one, but that did not come up as a possibility.
Oh, I thought they were sort of thinking about it. No?
What?
Well, I
didn't-
don't think, I don't think they were in a
I think
place to
Miriam was
create.
thinking about it, but
Yes, yeah, I think our Concom was thinking about it. What was
Well,
I gonna
according to your notes, the one of the things that everybody acknowledged was the consultants get $100 an hour.
Right,
It would be cheaper for us to just hire a full-time person, pay that person benefits and split the cost using it either
Right.
3 ways or using a formula.
the other
Right.
2 towns have no interest in that.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah.
Well,
That
see-
wasn't in your notes, April.
well,
April, did you feel that way? I didn't feel that way. I thought they were more neutral than Miriam. I thought Miriam was, maybe more concerned and more feeling more time pressure.
right,
But what are they gonna do when I forget the name of the fellow, when he leaves in
Mhm.
March? What are they?
right,
planning
they're
to
not
do?
gonna have one. It's,
Is that Wendell?
yeah, it's Wendell Leverett.
Leverett and Wendell.
They're sharing him. No, they're gonna, I'm not sure what they're gonna do. They're gonna, but I think it seemed like trying to manage having a full-time benefited position shared between 3 towns, like how would that be done? Then the other, and it was a lot more money. And once we crunched a little numbers, it's a chunk of change.
Well, one
And
thing,
Shutesbury is going to pay more because they're only using 10 hours and we use 15 to 20.
No.
She
So-
was only going to use 10 hours of the
No.
agent's time, and she wanted to keep 5 hours of the land use clerk's
Clerk.
time.
And
she
the
said
land
it
use
might be
clerk
more.
would still do the planning board and ZBA.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because both of
And-
them still want support.
right. And then there was an idea of, well, as these positions are being hired, that they could sort of share the information between the towns, and you can't share resumes. But there was an idea that they could collaborate on on hiring.
Well,
But it's not
And that
that
doesn't
easy.
make sense either if it's not a shared position. It-
Right.
You
So
know,
how did we do it when we did have a shared town administrator? I mean, I think Jane was there when I came onto the select.
Right.
She was already
She was a circuit rider, I remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a program that was developed out by the state. Rita was also a town administrator under the circuit rider days. I think it had a different title, but Rita had 3 towns, but that was all set up by the county and the state. And so they actually had 3 different select boards that they reported to. So basically, whoever we had would be in the same position. They would have to be appointed by 3 different boards. And it quickly gets complicated because the Concom has no real hiring authority without the select boards. And then you have to do a regional agreement. So, it's not simple.
Was Miriam gonna go to the county and talk to them about it? Did she follow through on
Miriam
that?
already spent a year working, being somewhat involved in the Franklin County initiative to explore a solution for shared Concom clerks and agents. And they spent about 18 months exploring the subject, wrote a couple of reports, and suggested these different alternatives of the shared position between multiple towns, and which would require making you have to make an agreement between all 3 towns on exactly how it's going to work. And it's always gets very complicated, especially if you have any disagreement in who you're going to hire. I mean, hiring can get really difficult. It was kind of difficult just having the 3 boards agree on hiring somebody in the land use clerk position.
Mhm.
So if it's not 3 boards, but 3 towns, you can imagine it's even more complicated, especially when their finances vary and how much they're willing to spend varies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that it's a challenge. I understand that. I do like the concept of hiring one full-time professional person, because that's a person you're more likely to be able to hire and figure out how we're going to divvy up the cost. And maybe, to answer your question, April, it's a contract. We have a contract. It states how this person is going to be hired, and why can't each town have representation in the hiring committee? Even if it's Leverett's hiring committee or Wendell's hiring committee, why can't our people attend
It
and
would
get,
have to be, you wouldn't have just one hiring committee. You would have to have representation from all three towns to hire.
okay, so each town would have a hiring committee and they would all work collaboratively in the process. And that's fine. I think it's easy for me to say, but I think it's worth the effort to try to do this, because I think in the long run, with finances the way they are, the towns are going to have to share more and more services. I don't see how we're not going to be able to do that in the long run.
Right.
This is a template. This is a way to,
But this may not be the position to do that with initially. I'm not sure.
what is? There's going to be a problem with every position. We
Well,
went to
the problem,
Leverett 10
George-
years ago, and Leverett came up with a long list why we can't share police department.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that, actually.
I'm sorry, Becky, what were you saying?
The reason this is not the ideal position, like a town coordinator might have been, is right now there are 3 different definitions about what an agent is in 3 different towns. So number 1, you don't even have agreement on the job description. Only thing you have agreement is on the title, but what it ends up meaning isn't the same thing.
But that doesn't mean that that the towns can't get together.
And create one job description.
Yeah,
It's not, but the point being, Peg, is that Shutesbury is not. Currently, we already have an existing position in the land use clerk. If, the changes to the Concom agent, et cetera, impact this other job description. So you're left having to fill 2 positions that are smaller than you currently have. And one of them we didn't have before in Shutesbury. And by name in the other 2 towns, it was very similar to our land use clerk, who took on more responsibilities than the current one, because the chair has held on in Shutesbury, has held on to most of those responsibilities that would have been on the land use clerk's plate if she wasn't brand new. And so it's complicated. It's not a simple position.
I agree. There were 2 things I wanted to mention. Janice Stone was in on that, on that meeting. And she talked a little bit about it, and she said that the clerk position as it is now, and I wrote down the quote, "It's too much for too little money." Which is pretty much what we're finding, because we don't seem to be able to retain anybody in that position for very long. And the other thing is, did Miriam say that they don't? One way that we could pay for part of this is fees. Does the Conservation Commission charge any fees for anything they do at this point?
Yeah, they've got $7,000 in the bank from the fees they've collected.
Right. Okay. So, and she mentioned maybe one way to finance some of this would be through their fees or raising their fees. I guess, April, did they mention that Leverett has higher fees for certain things than we do?
Yes, they did talk about that.
Right. And the Wetlands Act, the Wetlands Protection Act. Something about fees with that, I thought. I'm not remembering. That doesn't make sense, does it?
No,
No.
but I'm not sure if we could, I'm trying to imagine selling this to the town, that this is being funded through fees that are it's a variable.
Right. I'm not saying all fees, I'm just saying partially.
Right.
partial funding could come through fees.
Well,
Well, the other thing Miriam explained in a recent finance committee meeting is the $7,000 pot they have now was created through the NRAD applications, the majority of it, a large part of it.
right.
So those are one time and won't happen again. So if they don't have if they don't have big projects coming through, there won't be any money to continue the funding. So it's sort of like using a pot of free cash for an operating expense, which is always a bad idea.
True, I agree with that. I didn't realize that so much of it came from ANRADs.
That's what she, right, George? That's what she was saying at the finance committee meeting when she
Yeah,
went
what's
to
an
ask
IMRAD?
for funding of additional legal services.
Well, we weren't talking about using her fee fund. We were talking about using her consulting line that's in her budget. She has a $5,000 consulting line in the operating budget that was approved at town meeting, and she hasn't spent a dime of it. And so that's what we told her to use.
An annual consulting line?
Yeah, if you look at the expense report you sent today,
I don't think so, George.
give me 1 second.
Pull it up.
I'm pulling it up. So I'm looking
But she
at the,
did talk about the fees and saying that, you know, they weren't going to be getting more money in, right? You remember that part?
well, she talked about, yeah, I mean, it's a limited number of fees. There's, give me one, I'm going so there's something here called conservation consultant that has a $5,000 budget. It's on page 2 of the expense report. And that's what I was looking at when I said to her, why don't you use the money you have now? If you run out, come on back. And everybody said, yeah. So, you know, well, everybody else gave her the same message.
Mhm.
Okay,
And-
and the reason she said that was, I believe that consultant money was earmarked for the review of the Shutesbury wetland bylaw. That's the only, it's not an ongoing standing element in the budget.
Okay,
So it was put there for a particular purpose.
it's a one-shot deal, huh? Huh.
But it
Well-
hasn't been spent yet. Will it be
No, they haven't
spent?
done the work. They haven't started to do any work on that area at all. They started thinking about this a year ago. They got it into the budget. I believe that's what it is.
He is preoccupied with
Wrong,
lot
I'm wrong.
032 and there's 4 months left. I have a hard time believing she's gonna spend that money,
I agree.
other than on the legal.
Or the committee's going to spend that money. It's not her money. It's the committee.
Right, well, it's the Concom and she's the chair, you know, but be that as it may, you know, we told her we're not making the transfer not illegal, and we asked her to use that $5,000. And if she ends up doing all the jobs that she was planning on doing with that money, come on back to us, and we still have some FinCom reserve. Not a lot,
Mhm.
it's been cut by half, but we still do have some.
So at this point, in regards to the land use clerk and the possible, conservation and the other position,
Right.
the clerk and the conservation agent.
Yeah, the land use clerk, yeah.
Yes, land use clerk. At this point, we're just waiting to find out, where are we with this? We're just gonna wait.
It's not up to us right now. You
No,
know,
exactly.
So if the Concom wants to make changes on the land use clerk, they need to bring it to us. And if they want to create a new position, then they have to bring it to, we're not going to do that work for them.
No,
It's
right,
their job.
okay. Just, I didn't know if anybody, I know Becky had been in touch with her and I just didn't know if anything more was gonna, if she had asked to meet with the personnel committee or anything like that.
She asked to meet with the chair of planning board and the chair of ZBA, and I responded that maybe after she wrote up her part, if changes were going to be made to the land use job description, then we would have a meeting.
Okay,
Because both Jeff was already working on the job description, making sure it did what he wants it to do.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen any changes from him yet either, and all of those have to go to you guys, the personnel committee. So I didn't
Supervises
see a
that.
reason.
Who supervises that position? Is that yours?
It does, I mean, I help, yeah, Linda Scott always saw me as the person that was, where they could get advice and basically manage. Because otherwise it's complicated with having 3 chairs. They're basically in charge, but it's typically, I'm also monitoring that position at all
Yeah,
times.
the supervision can't happen by 3 boards.
No,
Right.
no.
very crazy. So as far as,
Very crazy.
Well, and is there some way that maybe the 3 boards need to think about how are they using this person that we're going through them. So,
Well, I
Right.
think that's a misnomer. What happened is Linda Scott held the position for the totality of the existence of the position. She
That's
was
right.
with Concom, 18 years or something by the time she retired. So you have somebody who has a real breadth and depth of knowledge. She's a real institution for the town, and she leaves. So then you have a complete changeover on Concom's board. And then the first couple of people that we hired were well, we didn't actually hire them. We didn't go, the only people we actually went through Tessa, and Tessa left for a combination of reasons.
Mhm.
And it wasn't all about the job. And she left. And when Tessa left, and she was highly qualified for the position. She was well suited to that position. And she was also the Leverett Concom agent at the time she resigned. But she resigned, and then we ended up hiring the Leverett town clerk, and that didn't work out at all. She lasted less than a month. That was more a mismatch of her expectations on what she would have to do and how much time she had available. We attempted to hire a third person who was a PhD candidate going through the same program Jeff Lacey went through, who was overly qualified. And he ended up getting an offer. He was applying for the job at Tessa had let him know about the job. They were friends. He applied because the grant funding of his current position was getting a PhD, fell through. But once they knew he was looking for another job, they found funding for him. So he never became an actual
Okay.
agent. And then Carrie, we ended up hiring Carrie.
Mhm.
And she's been with us for 1 year and 2 months.
Okay.
And she is planning to leave in the next month or 2. So it's, yeah, we've had some turnover, but given, you're not going to replace Linda.
No.
And as long as they're searching to do that, it's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
But I think Tessa did a great job. She had a handle on the situation, and she had an appropriate college degree. And if we can find somebody like her again, we could be fine. But it's a tough job.
yeah,
Mm.
as far as personnel committee is, we're on hold. Basically, we're on hold. on That no longer are in our working domain.
Mhm.
Okay,
So just for the minutes, so I just wrote, we need to hire a land use clerk. The land use clerk will be working 5 hours for Concom and will be supporting planning board and zoning board. And then I wrote.
We don't know that, George.
We don't know that. Okay, so
No,
what should
right now, what's left from my last communication from Miriam, if we don't hire an agent at 10 hours, the land use clerk position doesn't change.
which means it will, if
It
we
will.
hire agent for 10 hours.
And currently, how many hours is the land use clerk? Is it still
15 to 19.
19?
But I was in when Tessa was here, it was clear with all the NRED stuff and the planning, and we were thinking it would move ahead to planning board permitting. She was already hitting 24 hours some weeks, and we were in conversation about making that a benefited position, the land use clerk position. But Carrie's hours haven't been as high.
Huh.
Though
you
they're
said-
solidly about 19, often
Okay.
20.
To do all the jobs, including the agent.
No, she's not
No,
doing.
she's-
She's not that agent at all. All
No.
right, so for the notes I put, if we hire a commission agent for 10 hours, the land use clerk will be working 5 hours for Concom and will support the planning board and zoning.
Yeah.
That's the way to, okay. Is there, and then the third thing I put down was Shutesbury met with Wendell, and I've got like, you'll be able to see them when I send the draft, 8 different points that came out of that meeting. And that's all we need on this subject at this point, or should I say we're waiting to hear from?
The meeting was with Wendell and Leverett.
Yeah, I've got that. Yes, I do
Okay.
have that.
Okay. And it
And
was,
then-
one thing that was interesting is that the amount of work that Leverett is doing really is comparable to the amount of work that Shutesbury's Concom is doing. That our, because I was getting the impression that our Concom was just flooded. I guess that's a bad term for wetlands.
No, but busy.
But extraordinarily busy, and the reality is it's no busier than Leverett, probably busier than Wendell, but
Yeah,
no
Wendell
busier.
said they said 3 to 5 hours, I believe.
Yeah,
They have fewer hours. It seems to me they have a lesser need
mhm,
for a conservation agent.
and it ebbs and flows. I
Yeah.
think once this
Their
stuff with,
population is almost half of ours.
that's
Yeah.
right, even though we're metropolitan Wendell.
One thing that did come up in that meeting was that if you start putting fees on everything to help pay for this, people are, Leverett mentioned, well, we could do that maybe, but you got to also watch people avoiding going through the Conservation Commission and doing stuff on their own.
That is true.
That's true.
So that's an issue as well. But so Personnel Committee is on hold on this. We'll just wait and see what develops.
So what's developed, so we're basically waiting to hear back from the 3 committees.
Yeah, and then
with-
work on a potential new job description for an agent, a Concom agent, and also a land use clerk if we're changing the job description. I mean, we should do those in parallel. If
Yeah,
you're
so
gonna do a
basic-
Concom agent, you have to do an adjusted land use clerk
Right.
job description too.
Yeah, so the way I'm going to word it is we're waiting for the Concom, Planning Board and ZBA to provide recommendations for structure and job description. How's that sound? Job structure and job descriptions. Keep it open. Say again?
I said, that sounds good to me.
Okay, good. That's the way I saved it. I just want to make sure I got it all right. So we don't have to adjust it the next time. All right.
Right.
So, their future business, we always talk about the handbook policies. I don't think we're ready to do all of that right now, are we?
We're steaming ahead on the job classifications.
Yeah.
It's just.
Okay. So who's doing
We worked on it for at least an hour.
Yep.
this week.
April? That's April and Becky, right? On the classifications?
Yes.
I need to get together with Melissa on the policy and all that.
Okay, so that's ongoing.
Yes.
So
Unforgotten.
it doesn't change. It's still handbook classifications and policies and procedures.
Yeah.
Should I put fire chief or we'll just leave it. That's gonna happen. You're gonna put that on the agenda anyways,
The
right?
deputy chief.
Yeah, yeah, deputy chief.
I mean, isn't part of that getting just legal clarification about, the appointing ability of a strong chief? For the fire.
You know,
department?
the strong chief has appointing ability.
Okay,
We just have a very odd situation because the deputy chief wasn't brought on as an ordinary fire chief. I mean, a firefighter. He was brought in under a newly created job description just for him as not a conductor,
an engineer.
engineer. It has to do with trains. That's
Well, what's unusual is the
That's
position.
that's where I think there are some issues about that after we get Lenny's job description, it changes how he feels the deputy chief's job description needs to be altered to reflect what the person in the position can do. We need to figure out that piece.
So
Like-
the select board ultimately gets to sign off on the job description, even with the strong chief.
Right.
So if the job description is sort of being tailor-made for any one person, rather than looking at it more generally, that's something that we can certainly discuss as boards. That's the personnel board and the select board. Okay.
Okay, any other business tonight?
No, one.
I don't hear anything.
I
Okay.
hope everyone had a good Valentine's Day.
I was in a meeting.
We were getting our keys that were locked in the car,
Oh,
Oh,
that's a
no.
bummer. I hate it when that happens.
but it was really nice and warm, so it didn't
Oh,
matter.
yes, yes.
And
Makes
for
me-
those who might not know, our police chief spent the day getting married. So she is no longer, she doesn't have a fiance anymore. And they have officially tied the knot. So
Did you know she was getting married, or did she surprise everybody? We knew she was getting married, but did you know she was getting married on Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day.
I did know.
You did know, but she wasn't necessarily telling people that she was about to get
She
married.
did not tell anyone else.
Yeah, because when I was in town hall today and you were telling everybody, it seemed like it was a surprise to everybody, which,
Well, I had already told them, I thought she was coming in on yesterday, so I had spilled the beans yesterday. And I think she had told one other person on Monday, or two.
Oh,
But-
that's
Yeah,
great.
she had posted it on a Facebook
Oh,
right after.
good to see that. That's very nice. It's always nice to have good news.
yes,
It
it is.
is.
It's so rare to have good news.
These days.
Right?
So
She
Becky,
sure was a beautiful bride, my goodness.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah. She wasn't in her
So-
uniform then.
No.
No.
well, in his
Had to-
uniform, right? Because he's a police officer in Springfield.
No, he
I
wasn't in his either.
believe? Good. So is she still working crazy hours, or is she staffed okay now and she can roll back and be a little more normal in her work schedule?
She's making a good life balance, but working a lot of hours. She still needs one more full timer.
So
And
she's filling in herself.
and there's
with
going to
that
be
work.
interviews on the 23rd
Oh, good.
position.
And we did have turnover, right? We were having a guy who was leaving. And
Yeah,
I mean-
Zach moved to over to where he had been part-time. And who else left? Oh, and Taylor, who had been full-time for quite a while. That was unfortunate that she left, but she was still figuring out things, and she ended up going to, was it Holyoke Community College, I think? I think she went to a college situation to be a police officer.
so she's the position that we're trying to replace. She left the gap.
Yeah, she lives in Huntington. So I think with
Right.
all the gas prices going crazy and stuff, it was difficult.
HCC is a lot closer for her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No question. She
And-
drives through Montgomery and Wyben. It's probably a half-hour drive, depending on where she lives. Versus us, it's probably an hour from Huntington.
It is.
So-
My grandmother was from Huntington. It's a long drive from Shutesbury to Huntington.
I was there yesterday. I was hiking in Russell yesterday. It's
Oh,
a
it's
long
beautiful
drive.
up there.
Oh,
Yes,
It is beautiful. Shadrack Mountain, unbelievable views.
okay.
Ever looking for a place to hike? Shadrack.
Always looking for places.
Check out Shadrack. It's worth it. It's a bit of a drive, like I said, but I got friends. We meet from all over the valley, so we're always going to different places.
It's great.
It's still a nice drive. It's just a longer one. There's
Yeah.
no
Yes.
highway to get there.
Yes.
So are there things that are sort of coming up, like, are there contracts that are going to need to be renewed by July 1?
You know,
There's
I
that.
need to check in with the police union because you could be right. I can't remember.
Becky, I think yours is due
No, it's next year.
next year. Okay.
I'm in the second year of a 3-year.
Okay.
And-
But it's the police, it's because the changeover, I was just going with conversations with Taylor about the contract and she left.
Mm.
So now I've got to, thank you for bringing that up. I will double check the contract and see.
And are we going to be looking for a new highway
Highway.
superintendent?
Oh, yeah.
Not the,
In September, so we need to start talking about that. I figured
Mm.
we can start talking about that now, because the first thing we should do is review, well, we didn't we review his job description recently?
yep, and we've graded it.
Did, I think.
We've been grading. We
Prepared for
did
him
grade
to
it.
leave in September of 22, because that was a possibility.
Right. But he
What was-
decided to stay one
Sorry.
more year, so,
What was the possibility, George? I missed that.
Well, he was telling us like a year ago, he wasn't
Right.
sure if he was retiring in 22 or 23. So last year we went, and as April said, went ahead and reviewed his job
Right.
description.
And maybe the ice storm put him over the edge. It's like, how many ice storms can he, the amount of work that they've been doing is just.
Actually, as winters go, this hasn't been that bad. I mean, Montague Road being iced over hasn't been an issue like it's been in the past.
phenomenal.
They have
Oh,
been,
has it? Okay.
well, it's not been as bad as it has been in the past, but the last couple of days, they've been out picking up all the tree stuff that was down, the limbs and the,
Yeah,
Yeah,
They've
we got to
been
get it
doing
cleaned
that
up
for a
before the
couple
next
weeks.
storm.
yeah.
yeah, we gotta, yes.
Well, I'm talking about Montague. They've actually, yeah. When they're on Montague Road, the whole road knows it.
Yes. The dog barks at the
Yeah.
dog. It's like, oh, I
Well-
love small towns, but anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it would be good to see what contract negotiations are so we can put people on the committee for sure. And yeah, what can we do to make sure we can get a quality superintendent? There's so much competition between towns.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see who applies.
Right.
Is that another one where we might want to regionalize?
Oh,
Right.
God, no.
Oh, boy.
Unless
Okay.
you
Not a
don't
hell of a
want
nice
to
storm.
have
Do
a
you
si-
want to have a regional road committee, road crew?
Yeah, I mean,
If you're
that's
all in
so
that same boat.
Well, if you
geographic
have a,
standard. I mean.
if you have a
do you want-
superintendent who's responsible, I'm sorry, Becky,
Yeah, you could, if you had the right person, maybe.
a professional. I mean, you're hiring a manager.
But the job is a working superintendent. It's not administrative. So you have to find the rare combination of somebody who has administrative skills on top of being a stellar, one of the top
Yeah,
truck
it's usually the
drivers
two don't
and
go together.
equipment operators, and they've got to be able to do the grader. And a lot of the guys that have come through our department can't can't drive the grader. I mean, that you have to have a real combination of skills. We can't afford an administrative person worrying about, whether Leverett's guys are showing up for work or New Salem's guys are. I think it could, someday we'd be able to afford an administrative somebody maybe.
I just
But I
remember,
don't see any cost savings in regionalizing a highway department.
well, cost savings was part of the thinking, but the other part is just finding somebody who can do the job. I remember when Leverett made an offer to Tim and we matched it and raised it.
Oh, that's right.
And you know, I see these, I guess, you know, we should be paying them what they're worth anyways, but I just got the impression that they're hard to come by.
And I don't know if we have any internal candidates, but nothing has been
think we do.
settled. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised.
I think we do too. The few the
That
one I
would be my
know.
guess, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we all know who it is.
yes.
Not me.
I'm happy to go
Before
and
he-
run one of their machines.
I
I'll go
was
down
gonna
and do
say,
it.
You
Melissa
could do
would
it.
be able
Melissa
to
could
pass.
do it.
Yeah.
But I would, before he retires, I would love to go on a ride in the dump truck.
A ride along, just like the
Oh,
police.
remember you
cruisers.
said that, April.
What we pay for those trucks these days, we should charge people for rides and see if we can cover some of the cost.
Right?
Yes.
We'll make it a fun ride. We'll give you a tour of Shutesbury from the
Yeah.
perspective of.
A blizzard at midnight.
Yes.
Yeah, I would take that one.
That would be like the prime seats, you know, we're gonna charge $200 for that.
I would take that ride.
I would too. I'm
I
sure-
take the mud
remember
ones
when
too.
I remember when
Yes.
Gary Dillman talked about coming down Montague. And he said, what we do when we get to the top of the hill, they go down towards, the co-op. He said, you just sort of did a little prayer and went forward.
The bus used to do that when I was in school too.
Oh,
Just kind of let it slide.
Well, didn't the garbage people, the
Yep.
recycling people,
yeah,
they actually did that recently.
they got stuck.
Yeah,
went
that's right. I forgot
sideways.
about that.
Oh, is that how? Oh,
The nice thing about the new trucks is they actually spread sand under their own wheels, right?
What, say that again? They spread sand, what?
I
The
think
new
Steve
trucks.
does that.
Yes.
Yeah, the new technology, they throw sand down under their wheels.
If you see it, it
Oh.
comes out the sides of the truck, so they're sanding them with their own
Oh.
path. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, folks, if we
Yes.
don't have any more on this evening's agenda, are we all set to close up for the night?
Yeah. Not that this hasn't been fun.
Oh, and just one thing, Melissa, we scheduled our next meeting for April 9th.
March 9th.
March.
9th.
Already
March
put it on.
9th. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
someone
I'm
mentioned it,
getting
so
a
it's
little
on my
ahead of
calendar. Yep.
myself.
Yes.
All right.
All
And
right.
Celtics are doing very well. I just want to report that.
Okay. I could sleep
Are
at
they
night.
on tonight, Peg?
No, they're off until after the
A week from tonight, yeah, after the All-Star.
yeah, after the All-Stars.
Yeah, no, their
And
next
by
game
then,
is
they should be mostly
healthy.
healthy. Thank you.
Yes, I hear you. Hey, before we break up, should we schedule the meetings for April and May and June?
Okay. I gotta get my,
And then I
So,
promise I won't
if
talk
we need-
again.
I'd say, if we meet March 9th, then we'll want to meet, let's see. I'm in April. I'm in
April 20th is the usual date.
Yeah,
That's March.
Let's go.
Third Thursday.
Let's get back on our regular schedule. I
Okay.
think that's a good idea. Does everybody else, is that okay with you?
Sure. Sure. It's my birthday, so we can celebrate it.
Right.
It's Chris's
your
sister
birthday was
too.
4/20?
It was.
Oh,
Whoa.
April.
So is my younger sister's. Hers is also 420.
My
That's
husband's
something.
sister's is too.
Oh
It's
my
a
God.
good time. Oh, well, there's
Those
some
my
bad
nephews.
people. Really?
Well,
Yeah.
It's 420, there's some,
sister's birthday's the 20th.
it was also Hitler's birthday, so
Oh
Yeah.
that's the
my God.
downside.
That's the running joke in our family.
Yes.
Oh, I
That's what-
did not know that. Oh,
Yes.
that's terrible.
And
So I
Yes.
also have May
May-
18th
May
is the
18th.
third
Yes.
Thursday.
And town meeting is the 20th. Is that going to be a problem, May 20th? If we meet on the 18th?
Oh,
We have to make any decisions before town meeting?
well,
I
we'll
think the
know
one we have-
more. Why don't we leave it set for May 18th?
Okay,
Yeah.
We'll know more in a month or so.
okay. Is that far enough out or do you want to do June 2?
Do what?
Well, I'm happy to get as many on the calendar as possible, but not
June
everybody.
15th would be the third Thursday in June.
Okay, well, let's do that.
All right, I'll put it in the minutes.
All
Okay,
right.
sounds good.
I'll put them on the calendar.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All right.
So moved.
Have a
Second.
nice eye.
Then
Make peace and Neil, I.
Cross eye.
Oh, you got
Yeah, yeah.
Adios.
See y'all later.
Good
Okay,
night.
good night.
Thank you so much.